So today I'm joined by Idris Kanu, a Barnet player and Sierre Leone international. So let's start off with Idris. Idris, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. It's my day off today, so I've just been recovering, trying to get right.
That's all right because players need to recover. We should learn that, knowing the injuries that are going on in football, especially in the women's game. But for yourself, is there injuries that you seem to get reoccurring? Do you know injuries of your teammates, or is it just a case of having the days off just to rest normally?
It's just about having the days off, man. I feel like everyone needs that calm down day, like to just relax, let your feet down, let your hair down, and just to recover. Because like in the season, it's like pretty intense, so you don't really get much days to like just have to yourself to like just switch off.
So, what sort of player are you then? I mean, you do play in an attacking role, but how would you describe yourself?
I'm an attacker. I'm a dribbler. I like to commit people, commit defenders, run into space. I get a, I get a lot of fouls. I try to create opportunities. I just want to attack all times. But I don't mind the physical stuff. I don't mind it. I like it. I like the fight.
Are you driven by anything then? Maybe you like the physical side. Maybe you like getting into the rough and tumble. Is there anything that drives you to become the player that you are?
I don't know, man. I just love football. So it's this has always been the way I've been. I've always just loved being that style combative, being fearless, and just like always wanted to go.
Let's start off with your early days then. So you were at the West Ham Academy. How was your time there? What did you learn?
I was at West Ham from like the age of 10 to 16, so like my local club, so it's around the corner from me. So pretty much basically where I learnt most of my skills. You know what I mean? Like you're there every day. If it's not day release, you're there training at night time. You're going across the whole country playing against these really good teams, really good players. I just learnt like obviously like you just learn about football. Like you're playing all the time. But obviously, yeah, just learn all your skills, technique, everything.
Was there a coach that stuck out to you then while you were at West Ham? Do you still remember them? Are you still in contact?
Nah, not really. There was obviously Tony Carr, who was like obviously the famous the head of the academy, so he will always be like the prestigious coach. Like and whenever he was there, whenever he come to watch you train, like you always upped your game because you knew the amount of players he's brought through and stuff like that.
Was there a memorable match? Maybe you played against some great players that are still maybe playing in the Premier League now?
One time, this is just one of them. One time, I must have been playing on the 16s pitch against Liverpool, and I scored a goal. I scored a free kick. Then I got the call up to go onto the under 18s pitch on like next to it, and then I scored another two goals for the under 18s, and we won 3-2. So I scored three goals in two different games in the same day.
So how was the step then? Changing pitches, and maybe the pitch was a bit bigger. Maybe you were with a different team. What did that feel like?
No, I was used to it. I was playing like with older players, playing up in ages from early. When I was 15, I played on the 21s against Brighton. So it's like so you always when if you're good, you always get pushed early, so you just get used to it.
So then, what's inspired you to pursue the path that you're on now? I mean, what made you stick out from the rest? Because I know at West Ham's academy, at any academy, you're going to be with some great players. So what made you stand out from the rest?
Um, Probably just the hunger, the drive, because like there's only small margins that separate players. Like more times, sometimes it's a little bit of luck. Like there's obviously it's not massive, but there's luck in football. Like sometimes you might get your opportunity at the right time and you take it. Some people don't get the opportunity, so they never get in that situation. But it's just like the hunger and drive. That's probably the main thing to stick out.
So then, how did it end with the West Ham academy? Then, how did it end? Did you move on to another club? How did it plan out?
Oh, yeah. I just thought it wasn't right for me at the time when I was 16 to just move on and just to get a new scenery. Because when you've been at a place for so long, sometimes you feel like you can become a bit dormant.
So then, where down the line was this professional contract? Where did it come out from? Was it at the age of 17, 18?
It was I when I left West Ham. Obviously, I had trials at Man United. I was there for a week. I scored on my first game. I thought I was going to sign there, but or something. They never come about. So I was training at Aldershot in the meantime. Like they were National League, and because it was a bit, I was doing well there. The man just said, "Okay, why don't you just sign here for until the end of the season?" So I got my first professional contract at 16. Before I turned 17, it was like like a roll on, roll off contract. I don't know. It was it was that sort of contract. So when I turned 17, I signed a professional. So then I was playing National League at 16.
So maybe you didn't want to play that sort of level. Maybe you did want to sign for Manchester United. So there must have been some disappointment. So when you didn't get the phone call or you got told that you won't be making it at United at that stage, what were the emotions going through you?
I was devastated. I was angry. I was angry at a lot of stuff. I don't know if it was me, if it was my agent. I don't know. There's just a lot of stuff going through my head. But at that time, like you just realize that you just have to keep on going. You just have to play football. And that's the only thing you can do.
That must be the end goal then. Maybe trying to get a rejoin Manchester United and showing them who was boss.
Nah, there's no like team in mind or anything. Just want to perform and just do well. As best you can do.
Whenever I ask people what their strengths and weaknesses are, they always have more strengths. And I can't name a weakness to myself off the top of my head, as big as that might sound. So, but I want to ask you, you can have a think about this one, but do you have a weakness?
Yeah. Sometimes because I find it so easy to get onto my right foot, and then when they start overcompensating it, I don't want to go onto my left. But I feel like I should be going onto my left way more because it's always open, it's always free to drive on my left.
Is there extra training that you got to do? Are you confident with the left foot then, or is it just a case of you're not so used to using it?
I feel like I'm not as confident on it, but I feel like it's getting better. I'm working on it in the training pitch.
That's sort of like a mentality approach. And I want to know as well as the physical side of the game. And you told me about having your days off. But in terms of you training and maybe going home and just thinking about the game tomorrow, how do you prepare for the big games ahead?
Uh, so like when we'll be at training, we'll go through our um, pre-match analysis on and off the ball stuff, set pieces. So like you're constantly just seeing stuff about the other team, stuff like that. Then like maybe obviously I don't really know every single player in the league, so I'm not there looking at the right back or left back or whoever I'm playing against. I literally just try to focus on myself and like what I can do. Then when it comes to the game, just try to work out solutions that are better suited to me.
So can you tell me then, in the non-league or maybe you at United or West Ham, what really stuck out to you as a memorable moment? You spoke about the goals against Liverpool and then moving up the pitches. But apart from that, maybe at Barnet. Actually, let's do Barnet. What was the most memorable moment that you've had so far at Barnet?
Um, um, I don't know. There's been loads of good moments at Barnet. We were 10. We had 10 men. I scored a winner against Chelmsford in the FA Cup. A header. The goal scored against Wrexham, even though we lost, but to hear all the whole stadium clapping and it's a proud moment. Um, Beating Southend last season, I think it was a close game. Scored a winner. Getting into playoffs was quite memorable because we didn't expect it, but we did it. Yeah, there's not really been much so far, I don't think, about it. But I thought that this season there's going to be loads.
You've already started off the season magnificently. I mean, I've been a follower of Barnet for quite a long time. I used to live in the area, and I remember, as bad as it might sound, I remember the club wasn't in the best of situations about 5 or 6 years ago. They were flirting with the relegation. They got relegated from League Two, and it was a bit of a shame because you usually see some teams fighting, but Barnet weren't fighting. But there's something about this team this year. Maybe it's you. I think it's you. You've managed to change the team, and you've managed to come along, and you managed to push the team up to second so far. We'll talk about that in a moment. But what's the objective for this year? You are 5 points off first. Is it realistic to say playoffs, or is it realistic to say go ahead and win the league?
No, we're 3 points off top now.
Oh,
So
okay.
Yeah, so I feel like there's only one objective. We've got to try win the league because I feel like if we aim high, like we will perform better. There's no point in like trying to be safe with it. We've just got to aim to win the league.
So then, how would you say the Barnet squad now is compared to the team that maybe was there a few years ago? Have you seen some improvements from the academy? I mean, I remember going to watch the game, a friendly against Cambridge, and the way that they played was amazing. I mean, you beat Cambridge, but the way that you played around the ball, you're passing like prime Barcelona. It seemed to me, you were so dominant everywhere. So, what can you tell me about the team?
I feel like the team this year we're just all like on the same page. Like we know as a team what we can do. We know what the manager wants. But when we're on that pitch together, like we just stick together and we grind out results, we play well. But the main thing is like we know what each other's strengths are.
What's the biggest objective and the biggest hill that you've got to try and battle against? I mean, you're going to have some difficult times. It's bound to happen. So, what sort of team or what sort of player do you want to really have a go against this year?
What do you mean? Like what type of team I want to play
Well,
against?
you say with Southend, and my mate's a Southend fan, and he constantly putting on the group chat, Southend have won, Southend have won, and I keep telling him Barnet is the team. So maybe you want to beat Southend for me, I don't know. But what sort of team do you want to be beating this year?
Oh, we got to be beating the best. We got to be beating the Chesterfields, the Solihull, all them teams. Like, because that's the teams that are next to us right now. So if you keep on winning and we beat the top teams, it'll put us in a great place.
Absolutely, you want to be stepping in the shoes of Notts County and Wrexham last year. That was an
Yeah,
absolute that was crazy what happened. I mean, Notts County was so unfortunate to miss out on automatics. But now let's talk about your time representing your country, Sierra Leone.
yeah,
Um, I'm going to talk to you about each game so far. So on the 11th of January 2022, you were on the bench versus Algeria in an AFCON game.
yeah.
So let's start off simply. How proud were you to make such a big leap in your career at such a young age, and where can that take you?
Nice. It's always a proud moment representing your country and being involved. I just like being involved in this in the massive stadium, all the fans, like everything. And I feel like it just broadens your horizon, like just being open to different cultures and stuff like that. And it helps you be a better person because you're more open to different stuff.
How did that tournament open your eyes then? I mean, I did watch a bit of it actually. I remember Morocco and I remember a few teams and I remember there wasn't so many fans when I watched it a few years ago due to coronavirus. But what did you learn then from playing at such a big stage? Maybe a stage bigger than what you're used to so far.
Um, I just learned that there's so many different ways where you can play football. Like obviously, there's so many different styles. You know what I mean? Like they're playing in Africa, like the pitches are different, but some of these guys are super athletic, super technical, and it's just like it's just good to watch it, man, and just to be involved.
What's different then between African football and English football?
I feel like it's more chaotic in a way.
Hmm?
It's more chaotic, like as in like everything's going 100 miles per hour. So like team like you're trying to beat someone, they're right next to you. Like it's hard. It's really physical. But I wouldn't say physical as in like oh everyone's fouling and stuff like that. But you just got to be strong because no one's gonna give you a yard.
So when you were on the bench versus Algeria, you must have been watching your team against some of the greats. I mean, you do have some greats in your team, but looking at the likes of Riyad Mahrez just in front of you, what did you feel like?
I've watched Mario's live a couple of times live, like obviously in the UK. So it's just like I knew what he's all about. Like his first touch is a joke. Even on that bubbly pitch, he can control anything. It's crazy. No, it was nice to watch him play. Like he was probably unlucky not to do anything, but our left back did really well against him.
So then were you disappointed then not to make your debut? Be honest, were you disappointed?
Yeah, but the result was the main thing that mattered at the time. So one of them things.
I want to understand then what it's like to be called up. You have been put in those shoes, and it'll be the same for every single player, regardless of country. What's it like? Did you get a phone call? Did you get an email? What was it like to get the call up to represent your country?
I must. It's a proud moment because like you just tell your parents and they're just super happy. Then next thing you know, your uncles are calling, your aunties are calling, and it's a good thing to just see them happy and everyone just smiling.
So then how much of an impact did your parents have in your playing career? Did they get you into football? Was it players that stuck out to you?
Yeah, they definitely got me into football. Like, obviously, my older brother, he's about 5 years, 6 years older than me. So like, he was always into football. So like, I used to go watch him play with my dad. Then as soon as I could play, my dad got me in there. I was playing from early.
Okay, so now let's talk about the second game. You weren't in the team for 256 days. That did a lot of work to do the math. The 24th of September 2022, in a 4-0 loss to South Africa, you played in the remaining 25 minutes, playing up front in a centre forward role. What did you
Yeah,
learn stepping on that pitch? Yes, you lost, but playing against a big country.
yeah, South Africa was a good country. They the pitches were good. Like, they have a good FA. Like, they have a good style of football. And obviously, like, sometimes with like African football, like, some of the planning can be a bit off. So like, it was good to play in the game. Like, I thought I did well when I come on, but it's just like they were they were in their full flow. Like, they were good.
How did they play?
Um, they passed the ball from the back all the way to the front. The keeper's got a massive kick. Everyone's a dribbler. Like, literally, the centre back's like 5'7", but he's so comfortable on the ball. He can dribble, he can tackle. It's good. They're
You
good.
spoke about African FAs, and you said South Africa's one was amazing. What work then could be done to implement it into Sierra Leone, into Nigeria, into all these countries around Africa? What could be done to improve? I mean, there's loads of talent coming through. Don't get me wrong, but what can be done to make sure everyone has access to unbelievable pitches?
It's just where they want to put the money. You know what I mean? That's what I can say. It just depends where they want to put the money, because there's a lot of money in these African countries. It just depends where they want to put it.
I think they should invest it into football. Football's such an amazing sport. So now let's talk about this. The 27th of September 2022, a few days later, you did not play in a 3-0 loss to Congo, but you were on the bench. Again, what did you learn in that? Because I know I'm going to keep saying it, but there must have been a lot of learning curves, regardless of whether you played. And you must have had the disappointment of not being able to get on the pitch. So you must have been like, maybe I could do this in training to maybe impress the manager even more.
Yeah, it's just one of them things where obviously manager might be a bit under pressure, so he doesn't want to. He has to play a different style of football. Do you get what I mean? So there was loads of factors of that happened when I used to go. Like, managers playing a bit safe, there's a bit worried and stuff like that. So that's all it was. Like, you can't really account for it too much. There's not really much learning. You just have to get on with it.
What did you learn then from your manager?
Um, um, just to be resilient, I guess. Like, there's a lot of outside factors that are always trying to creep in, and really you can't let them in. You just have to focus on the stuff you can control.
That was actually a later question that I was going to ask you. So, how do you block out the outside noise?
You just got to think about the stuff that you can control, because in life, in football, in other stuff, there's so many uncontrollables. There's so many things that you can't control. So you just have to forget about that and just work on the stuff you can do.
More recently, then, this June, you were on the bench against Nigeria in an AFCON qualifier. You lost 2-3. Now, as bad as it might sound, there has been some defeats in these games. So, are you the man to make the difference for the national team when you do get that call up, which is just bound to happen? Are you the man to make the difference?
Um, I like to think so. That I've just been waiting. Well, obviously, when obviously you got a manager that's so used to playing a certain type of way, a certain type of style. Some, like, it happens with a lot of different players. Some managers are like so tunnel vision in their teams and stuff like that. So, but you just have to keep on knocking on the door and you get your chance.
How do you knock on the door then? Do you have do you have the manager's contacts? Do you keep trying to persuade him, trying to ask him maybe you can change the formation and try me out?
Um, the way I see football is like, you can't tell anyone what to do. You literally just have to keep on doing your own thing. Can't be going in the office. Obviously, it's good sometimes to go in that gaffer's office, but more times, well, you just have to show them on the pitch. That's the only thing you can do, really and truly.
So, is there extra training that you could be doing?
No, that's a given. You're always doing extra training, doing PT work, doing stuff on the pitch. That's a given.
Okay, so you haven't started yet for your country in a major game, but yes, you still you have a long time on your hands. You do have many years on your hands, and like I said, it is bound to happen. You're getting the call up. What can you do then? We have just sort of spoken about this, but what can you do? Maybe it could be a change of manager, but what could happen then? Maybe at Barnet that could really impress the gaffer of the national team.
Uh, well, just gotta keep on scoring, I guess. So that's like when you score, it sends waves throughout the whole country, and like anytime I score or do well, I get like loads of DMs saying, "Oh, you need to be playing this, and that." It happens all the time. They're not the manager, so it doesn't really make a difference. So hopefully soon it'll change.
Absolutely. So the country does have a few more games coming up this week, I believe. Are you involved in them?
I'll be staying in at Barnet. I've been having like some issues with my knee recently, so I don't really be traveling. I just want to stay put and just like recover.
Is there contact then between you and the national team? You've just spoken
Yeah,
about dropping out, so tell me, is there contact?
yeah, always. Like they ask me like how am I feeling and stuff like that. I just feel like I'd rather just stay put and just like focus like, at home. And obviously, it's friendly, so they'll if it's like a qualifier, there'll probably be a bit more added pressure. But right now, I probably just need to like get myself right.
AFCON starts back up again in January in the Ivory Coast. Do you have your eyes set on that? I mean, it's doable, but do you believe that you're capable of going to Ivory Coast and making a difference for the country, or do you have your sights set on Morocco?
Um, I think we didn't qualify for this year's AFCON. Like we missed
Okay.
out on a couple of points. So our next team objective is probably the World Cup. When they've added more teams to it, there are more African teams that are allowed in the World Cup. So I feel like that would be a great achievement to do.
What would you rather then, playing AFCON or the World Cup?
I think the World Cup anyway.
The journey's long. The journey is very long to get to the World Cup.
Yeah.
Could you talk me through then from an African country? How does the qualifiers work?
So you have to do so all the countries go into a massive qualifiers. Then the top two teams, the top two teams go through. There's literally just eliminations until I think how many teams go through now? Nine until 9 or 8 teams progress. That's how it works this year.
What are some of the best players in Africa then? You could say Mohamed Salah, you could say Sadio Mane, Riyad Mahrez, but can you tell me a few players that maybe go unnoticed? Could you tell me some players that really could make it at the top level?
I feel like all the players that are there now, right now, doing well. So like Mohamed Kudus, Victor Osimhen. There's so many players from all around different leagues that are really starting to come through. Like you look at the Premier League now, there's so many African talent there, and they're all doing well. I feel like it's just the right people doing the scouting, and now look, every team's got standout players.
Do you have contact with any of these players? I mean, you spoke about Kudus and you were at West Ham. Do you have contact with him?
No, no, no contact with him. No.
No. What advice then would you give to aspiring young footballers who hope to make it to the professional level? You could just say, keep training, keep trying harder. But I want something a bit different from you because everyone wants to be a professional footballer if they have some interest in football. So, your own personal advice that you've maybe learnt from the disappointment at Manchester United and then being sent out on loan here and there. What advice would you give to these young players?
Um, I'll say just trust yourself. Don't don't let outside sources get into your head. Like keep your mentality strong, and if you do that, everything will come into place because that's the main thing you can control.
You played for several clubs in your career, mostly on loan at some of them. But how has each manager? Now you don't need to go through them all, but there must be some managers in there that have stuck out to you. Whether it might be the training, whether it might be the personal connection. Build me your ideal manager. What do you want from a manager?
Um, I just want to personally, I just prefer a manager that's honest, um, man management, good, and like obviously he knows his football. And that's probably the best type of managers, the ones that are honest, they know football, and they're a good coach. because not all managers are good coaches. That's something that you got to realize in football.
What do you mean by that?
Some managers are more like man management. They'll get you psyched up. They'll get you hyped up for the game. But then some managers are coaches who they will actively look to make you better to get results. Then some managers just get the best out of you in that given period and to get the results. That's different.
You spoke about honesty. How does honesty? Does it make you play better if the manager's being honest to you? I mean, if you got told that you're not going to be representing your country, and that's honesty, does that not have in the back of your mind? Does that not play some sort of disappointment, and that maybe alters your performance?
That's what I said personally, because everyone's different. You know what I mean? Some people, when they get told the honest truth, they just crumble. You know what I mean? They won't want to be in that situation. Then but then afterwards, then you realize, oh damn, he's lied to me. But when you get told honestly, like, you can prepare yourself better for it. Like, you can just address it straight away.
Just over a year ago, on September the 1st, 2022, you left Peterborough after many years and joined Barnet for an undisclosed fee. Firstly, what emotions ran through your head when you got told that you'd be leaving Peterborough?
Obviously I was there for a long time, but I just wanted to get out there and play. You know what I mean? Like, that was the main thing. So I was pretty happy just to leave my comfort zone and to just get in the scenario where I can just enjoy my football.
Was there any highlights at the club?
We got promoted into the championship. Lots of good games. Scoring my first goal, stuff like that. But I was just happy to get out and play loads of games.
Why was Barnet the right decision then?
And I think it was. It's close to home. Like, we're a progressing team, progressing club. So I think it was definitely the right decision.
Is Barnet a long-term or a short-term stay? Do you want to be looking to move up the ranks personally, or do you want to build it with Barnet?
Obviously, I'm always looking to perform at a higher level. So if that's with Barnet, or maybe I get opportunity somewhere else, that's all I'll always be looking at. But I feel like we can do it with Barnet.
Let's say it didn't work out with Barnet. Let's say you didn't get promoted. Would it be a case of staying for another year, maybe a few years, or would it be a case of maybe looking to go up to Stevenage or somewhere maybe still local, but somewhere maybe that you can still get first team football and play at the high level that you want to?
Hey, we're not all future tellers, man. You know, anything can happen. I might be playing bad, and then there's no teams that will, you know what I mean? So you just got to focus on what you can do now, and that's just performing. Then everything else will come.
Hopefully one day we'll be able to see you at the highest level, maybe even for Watford, the local team. I'll come down and watch you. So,
what team do you support?
I support Liverpool, but I'm a football fan. I've got to be a football fan when you're on the radio. Like I said, I've gone to Barnet, I've gone to Watford, I've seen Liverpool, Tottenham. I like to watch all the teams. I just like watching football. I'm sure you're the same, right?
Yeah, I do too.
Do you support a team?
Chelsea fan.
Chelsea fan. You're not doing too well at the moment.
No, we're building. We'll be there soon. Top 4, definitely.
Do you think Poch needs you?
Poch got enough signings already.
What are your goals and aspirations for the future then?
Just get another promotion. Just to get another promotion. That's my short-term goal right now. To get another promotion, to score goals.
Yesterday, I spoke with a football agent. He's local to Hertfordshire. He's from Hitchin, and he's got links around the world. I spoke to him. He's got Israeli links, Australian, Brazilian, Portuguese, Spanish, just to name a few. Do you have links then? I mean, it might be different for a footballer, but do you have links to higher clubs, lower clubs, just elsewhere that maybe you can just send a message and be like, do you have an available spot in a few years? This kind of stuff. Do you have contacts with other teams or other coaches?
As footballers, like, we don't really do that with the messaging of people, because one, I don't think you're not really allowed to do it because you're under contract, so you can't do that. And that's probably why you have an agent. That's the agent's job, to connect the dots, and so you can just focus on football.
How does an agent benefit you? Because yesterday I spoke to the agent, Jordan, and he told me, he said that no one needs an agent, but why did you decide that an agent was what you needed? I mean, it might seem like quite an obvious question because loads of players have agents, but how does that benefit you?
Obviously, yeah, Because the agent, he acts as obviously it's a service for you, as in like you build a connection with your agent. Obviously, he connects the dots while you can just focus on the football. Because imagine you're playing football, then you need to like, oh, I've got to go sort out my contract with the club. Then you're in these meetings, and then you have to go out and perform the next day. But then you have to go back into a meeting afterwards. Like it'll be stressful. So it's just a bit easier on the player.
Tell me then, when do you train? What days do you train? Is it every other? Is it every day apart from Wednesday?
Yeah, basically.
And talk me through a training session then. As long-winded as it might sound, how long do you spend training?
Probably about 90 minutes on average.
And
But
talk me through it. Talk me through it.
so so you'll say we'll come in about 10. We'll have breakfast in the morning. We might have a meeting at like 10:45. Then we'll go out with them. Before we go out, we'll do a bit of pre-ab. So that might be like 20 minutes pre-ab. That's stretching, just getting some activations on. Then we'll be out for like say 11:30. Then we'll train. We'll obviously warm up training. It depends what day it is. Some days are more fun than others. Some days are match prep. Um, yeah, so sometimes you don't want to do too much because you might have had a Saturday, Tuesday. So then Monday we'll barely do anything. We'll just do some match prep and we'll be inside in like 40 minutes, 45 minutes.
How difficult is that then? Because there is a loads of teams I know, apart from the Premier League, I think that do play Saturday and then Tuesday, or they do play in that kind of short period. And especially if you've got a game at Barnet and then you've got to travel halfway up the country for another game. So how does that work? Do you all travel up as a team?
Yeah. You travel to games on the coach if it's a away game. Obviously, if you live close to the away team, you might be able to like meet up somewhere closer. But you got to be as a team.
During pre-season then, you must have had an amazing pre-season considering the start that you guys have had. How do you prepare for such a big campaign? Because you see the players going back maybe 5 or 6 weeks before the league starts. But for you guys, your summer holidays are a bit shorter because, especially if you in all the competitions for yourself, if you get to the playoff final, you've got the maxed out games that you could have possibly played. So then you've got a shorter break than some, and then you've got to start back earlier on in the Premier League teams. So what do you do in that time period during the pre-season? Is it a lot of running?
So obviously you got to look after yourself in off season. You can't just be eating cake every single day. Obviously you can
That's the
enjoy
dream.
yourself. You can enjoy yourself, but you got to stay fit. Maybe go for a run every couple of days. Just keep yourself in shape. So that when it comes to preseason, you're not far behind someone that's been working every single day. Because obviously there's lots of hungry players that want to take your spot, and you can tell they've come back super fit. So just have to keep on top of it.
Is there any idols out there? You could name Cristiano Ronaldo, you could name Messi, but you could also name some other players. Like for me, for example, a manager that sticks out to me would be Gary O'Neill. I like the style that he plays. I'm not sure about you. It wouldn't be Pochettino, unfortunately. But what sort of idols do you have? As maybe a manager, maybe they said something that you really like and it stuck with you, or maybe a player that you like the abilities that they have. What sort of players have stuck out to you?
Well, I don't really have any eyes, but obviously I'm a football fan, so I appreciate good football. So like Hazard, Neymar, all them type of players, they just appreciate them. Drogba used to be my favorite player growing up. Obviously, Chelsea legend, big striker. Yeah, that he was my favorite player growing up.
You spoke that you're a Chelsea fan. How disappointed are you then the other day? Then Hazard decided to retire.
Uh, I don't blame him, man. Like football's it's a short career. Like he's done so much for the game. Like if he wants to retire, just respect it, and like everyone should be happy for him.
How important then? You spoke about this season compared to last at Barnet. You've said that the teamwork there is really good, whether it be with the centre backs, the whole team understands each other. But you also spoke about your national team coach and other coaches maybe picking the same team because they don't want to risk it. They don't want to take the chance of, oh, this player hasn't played for a few weeks. They might not be up to the scratch or the standards that we want. How
Yeah.
important then is it? How important is teamwork?
I feel like teamwork is really important because like the more you play with each other, the more solid foundations that you have, the more the more equipped you are to deal with situations because you've dealt with it before. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Hmm.
Like just get used to it. I also feel like when you build a solid bond and solid friendship with your teammates, like it makes it in the whole way better.
It's easy to say team bonding, but we're going to look at Chelsea again. I hate to bring it back to you, but we're going to bring it to Chelsea, where the team bonding hasn't been good with the results that we've seen. There obviously is something going on that the team isn't clicking. Mudryk got his first goal in a year since being at the club, and that can play a part because if you are playing in a team that does have good teamwork and communication, you might get the goal a bit earlier. So, what would you do? As hard as it might sound, what would you do at a club like Chelsea where the communication isn't good? What would you do to bring the players back together?
But you gotta understand, it's all transition. Like Mudryk's just come from a country that's his home country is in war. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Like they're fighting a war. So how do you know how he is mentally? Do you know what I mean? To deal with a big move, he's still young. There's so many different factors probably in that. Like he's still like he's a great player. But obviously now we lost our chairman, so the club is in a different state. You know what I mean? Like it takes a while for young players to settle in general. So if I was there, I'll just try like doing what Poch is doing right now. Like he's keeping everyone close, he's making a family set up, and now the results are changing because there's some continuity. Like everyone's doing the same thing. Everyone's on the same page now, everyone's hungry. And probably that's the best situation to be in when you're young, to be around other hungry players.
When I told you I spoke to Jordan Gibbs yesterday, the football agent, he told me that in his agency, he's trying to build more of a family, like you say. He wants to bring players one at a time to understand everyone and how they work. But you also spoke about player welfare, and you gave me the example of Mudryk and his in his country, Ukraine, being in a war right now, which is obviously is shocking. But there is player welfare officers at football clubs. Do you have them at Barnet or maybe at the national team? And if not, do you know what they do and how do they help?
Yeah, there's player welfare at all these places, and they help because like if you're going through a situation or it looks like you might be going through a situation, they might bring it up to you to see how your welfare is and to try to find solutions to help you get in a better state of mind.
Have you been in a moment then where maybe you have had a bit of a low spree? Maybe it was an injury, or you had to come back from an injury, or maybe it was just maybe it was nothing. But could you tell me anything in your career where you've had to overcome something quite challenging?
Uh, I wouldn't say. I feel like there's always people that go through way worse stuff. So I haven't really had that moment in my life yet. Obviously, I've had injuries and stuff like that. Obviously, I've always been like had a close knit family around me to like, and they probably do that job anyway to like speak to you, keep you grounded, and to keep you like from not going to a bad place.
So family must be quite an important factor then. I always speak to people and they're telling me their family is important. What does your family do? And it might just be just talking to you, but what do they do to really encourage you, maybe for a game, maybe to keep up the mentality going and maybe tell you that the end goal it could be Manchester United, for example. So what does family do compared to the player welfare officer? How important is it to have a great family?
Um, family like a family member knows you, knows the ins and outs. Like you're more comfortable with them. Like they will tell you the harsh truth and they won't sugarcoat it. So it's always easier and better coming from them because you trust them to a whole nother level.
What do you do then outside of football to maybe you can't. Maybe football's your life. For me, it would be. Maybe you watch the football, but try and think outside of football here. What do you do to relax? What do you do to just take your mind away from maybe a bad result one day?
Uh, Probably play some Call of Duty, play on the PlayStation, maybe go bowling with the mates or play some badminton, go to the gym, loads of stuff. Yeah.
How does the gym help them? Because I always see people, they go to the gym and they're telling me that the mentality that they have when they're at the gym, it just brings some sort of happiness to them. Does that bring the same for you, or am I just dreaming?
A little bit dreaming there.
Okay.
Nah, nah. See, when you're in are you talking about in the gym, like say after a game or something, or like off season? What are you
I'm,
talking
I'm
about?
talking. I'm talking more when you're by yourself, when you have the time and you just decide to go to the gym.
Ah, so so let's say in the off season, I'll be in the gym, but because it's the off season, you know you're not playing football. You're a bit more in a how do you say aggressive type of gym mode because you don't need to worry about, oh, you got a game in 2 days. You can be a bit more aggressive. But during the season, when you're in the gym, you're just like literally just trying to take care of yourself and like just keep your body so that in the right condition, so you're you're less injury prone. I don't really feel like when I'm in the gym during the season, that's more of a mentality thing. I'm just like, I've, I'm in that mindset where as in like, if I don't go to the gym, there's probably more chance I'll probably get injured at some point of the season. That's my thinking.
Can you tell me then? Can you tell me about any charitable work or community work that you've been involved in, whether it be with Barnet, the national team, or maybe yourself personally, or any causes that you might be passionate about? You might be passionate about cancer research, for example, and maybe you've donated and given your stuff to them. What have you been involved in?
Um, when I go back to Sierra Leone, I always give donate some money, trying to make a football like a football team, like for my mum's village, and my dad's village. So just trying to do different stuff and just trying to get in the works and of making it.
You say you want to make a football team, then let's talk about that. What are you in the process now, or are you just in the planning phase? What are you in?
Just in the planning phase right now, just trying to decide on what the names, what to do. But there's loads of players that they like they idolize me up there, so it wouldn't be hard. But it's just planning it and getting all the right factors in place.
What factors do you need then? You might say financial factors, but at the end of the day, would this club would it be a men's team or would it be more of a children's academy and stuff like that?
I think it'd be more for the children, like just giving the kids a safe place to go and enjoy playing football, and like give them some like yeah, just to build on it. It'd probably be for the kids, get some kit, try to get some boots donated over and stuff like that.
How can that be done then? Where can the donating be done? Maybe you haven't set it up yet, but in terms of maybe the people that follow you on social media, is that going to be a case of in a few months or years you asking them to donate maybe spare pair of football boots that they haven't used?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like when it's done fully, it'll be like their own Instagram page, own socials, own website, and it'll be hopefully we can make it into a big thing. Have you seen Right to Dream?
No, what's that?
So it's a team that's in Ghana. So they've been doing it for a few years. They made a Ghanaian academy, and they go all around the country, all around the world, play in
Hmm.
different academies. And they've had like loads of stars break through. Mohammed Kudos, is like just him, for example. Lots of different stars just come through, and that's just by giving the kids a opportunity to play football and like to travel the world. And
Earlier we spoke about maybe the FAs in the country's not doing a lot. And you said South Africa's FA was brilliant. Maybe I'm over exaggerating a bit, but you were there. You told me that the pitch was amazing.
yeah,
And that can play a factor because of the way that you play, etc. You should know more than me. But in terms of you doing it personally, is it maybe a bad thing you doing it personally that the country isn't benefiting its own people?
um, I feel like it's not really a bad thing because like even in this country, the FA will be doing a lot of work, but then someone still might want to do their own work. Do you get what I
Yeah,
mean?
absolutely.
It's never a bad thing. It's just
Hmm.
that sometimes the FA or the government can't reach everyone. So you need to do your little bit, give your little 50 pence and just help as many people as you can. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So it's not, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing.
You spoke about your mum and dad's village. Are they the same village or separate?
Separate.
So
So
talk to me then. Talk to me about life in Sierra Leone. What's it like there?
it's hot. It's like close knit. It's a developing country, and like anytime I go, I always enjoy it. Always enjoy it.
Was there any foot? Have you ever played for football teams over there?
Nah, I try not to play football out there. It's a bit rough.
Is it?
it's I just like to relax. Yeah.
Okay, so now let's talk about the balance between the personal and with the demands of the professional football career. You spoke about sitting down, relaxing, and playing Call of Duty, which would definitely play a benefit in the personal life. But how would you balance it out to make sure you're not overdoing yourself? As much as you want to play football, in Sierre Leone, for example, your set's too rough. So that's a personal thing from you. But how do you balance the time that you spend to make sure you're not overdoing something to injure yourself for a game?
Um, you just got to know your body. Like you got to know what the cans and can'ts. And that's only you can only get that by time, by playing. So like I've realized because I've been playing like recently for like the last 18 months or so, or 12 months. That my body, it can go really far. I can take it as far, but then there's times where my body will tell me I just need a couple of days, maybe just like manage myself and just like take it easy. Do you know what I'm trying to say? But
Going back
just
to sorry, but going back to Barnet, right? You speak about the team and the 11 that are on the pitch and then the players that are on the bench. And I've seen the lineups. You seem to be starting in a lot of these games. And we saw Messi at Inter Miami, for example. He had to have a rest because he got injured after so many games that he played. So I want to ask you then, how many games can you play in a row until you're starting to think, Gaffer, can I have maybe a few days off?
that's a hard question because no one really wants to be on the bench. Doesn't matter like if you're tired or not, like because everyone's tired. Do you know what I mean? So no one really wants to be on the bench. So it's a thing where you just got to keep on going. Like, and if there's going to be a time in the season when you're like, okay, my mate's been doing well. Do you know what I mean? Like he can easily fill in for me, but sometimes that's not always the case. Like sometimes you might be the only option in that certain situation. So it all depends. Like obviously there is times when you're thinking like, damn, I could do with missing out on this one, but I feel like that's not the right mentality. I feel like you should always be like, yeah, I'm ready to play. And if you can't play, don't play. Like you tell the physios, tell the manager. But yeah.
Is Barnet then? Is Barnet quite a close club? Like you spoke about the players, but is the manager and maybe the physios? I'm not sure how many backroom staff you have, but are they all close together? Like, do you know all of them?
Yeah. We've all been together for a bit of time now, so the managers, the staff, and the players were all close. We're like a little family.
You may not have done, but maybe you've spoken to some of your teammates. Have they gone to go and see the academy? I mean, you do have an academy at Barnet, but do you ever watch them?
Um, yeah, a couple of the lads went to go watch the FA Youth Cup the other day, last week, and they won. So I feel like we're more involved with the academy now.
Does that bring motivation then? Do you think that would bring motivation if you were a young player and the first team came to come and see you?
Oh, 100%. I remember when the first team used to watch me play, like no matter what, you just want to like try to show off, you want to try impress, you want to be on top of your game. So it's always a good factor.
In the first 8 games of this season, you achieved 8 goals as well as assists. That was combined. Did you
Yeah.
expect that if you were looking at it maybe 3 months ago and you were looking into this season? Firstly, were you expecting the team to be so high in the table, and were you expecting that to be such an amazing stat 8 games in?
Uh, I was literally just trying to start the season as strongly as possible because obviously I knew like when you have such high standards and you set your goals from the start of the season, you know like anything can happen. So I'm just happy to contribute and to a winning team.
What message then would you give to fans or people that are looking up to you? You spoke about in Sierra Leone. What sort of message would you give to anyone really who just wants to be up there? Maybe not challenging to be a footballer, but maybe just if they want to have an insight into your life, into Idris Kanu's life, what would you say?
I'm like, it's not all glitz and glamours. There's going to be tough times, there's going to be good times, but you just got to stay strong all the time because you never know what's going to be around the corner. That's what I would say.
Next year, if you are in League Two, now let's go to a more video game side of things. You may be on FIFA. So let's go through your FIFA card then. Let's start off with the pace. What would you give it?
I'll give it 8 and 9.
Okay, and we spoke about shooting. That's a big part of your game, and you like to cut in on your left foot. Sorry, on your right foot. On your right foot. What would you rate your shooting?
Definitely like 75, 80.
Passing as well. You seem to be quite a big part of your game. You don't like to assist as much as scoring. I understand that, but you like to assist, surely. So, what would you give your passing?
I know FIFA is sometimes tough, man. They always they could be given some bad ratings. I'll say it's probably about 60. I'll be fair.
Now, the dribbling must be the biggest side of your game, surely. What would you be giving that?
Oh, definitely 90 or something. 100. 90.
Defending? It can't be the highest, right?
Hey, I'm not bad at defending. I'll say
Really?
so.
Centre back?
Nah, 1v1s. I'm more like 1v1 stuff like that. I'm pretty decent. I'll
Okay.
give it like a 80,
Oh,
75.
wow. And
Yeah,
lastly, sorry, go on.
yeah, that's fine.
Lastly, the physicality. You said that you like to get involved, but in Sierra Leone you don't like to get involved for other reasons. What would you
Yeah.
give the physicality?
Probably like a 70.
And then the overall rating, what would that be for Barnet FC?
Barnet FC. I'll take a 70 because it'll be in League Two. I'll take a 70.
Okay, and lastly, Idris, what would you like to share with the supporters and the fans who are Barnet fans this year for the upcoming campaign?
I would say if you're a Barnet fan, get yourself to the Hive and sing my songs because I actually enjoy all the songs that you guys sing and it gets me going.
Here's Jordan. Look, the bees are going up. How do you feel?
No, we are. Hopefully we are.
Idris, I really, really appreciate you spending your time talking to me today. Thank you very much for coming on.
It's all right. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Cheers. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.